Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Isaac Obi Aibo, and I'll be hosting the Catalyse workshop or the January Catalyse workshop um, with our facilitator, Steven Senyo Tettegah. So today we will be diving into a topic that's the secret ingredient for success of many organizations, which is building a happy and motivated team. A little bit about EduSpot. EduSpot connects, trains, and equips over 400 catalysts. Catalyst coordinates Digielect, Ecosystem, Ignite Equity, Educate, and Educate clubs. EduSpot is a collaborative community-led approach organization with 50 community-led sports across Ghana and Kenya. And finally, we provide quality learning opportunities for over 10,000 children across Ghana and Kenya. About our Catalyse Leadership Workshop. So the Leadership Workshop or the Catalyse Leadership Workshop is a workshop that seeks to advance the professional development of our catalysts, our staff, and our stakeholders in the network, where we invite experts like the one we are going to have today. Expert who is going to share with us how to be happy and motivated in our roles as catalysts and staff. Okay, so I'll just give this. So it is time to meet our amazing our amazing speaker for today. Our speaker for today is Senyo Tettegah, who is an award-winning educator, youth activist, and catalyst committed to improving educational opportunities in rural communities. With a strong academic background and leadership experience, he has taught in multiple schools across Ghana, participated in the Talma Fellowship in Israel, and contributed to initiatives with organizations like United Volunteers Network and Paris Start Foundation. A former EduSpots volunteer and staff member, Stephen has overseen literacy development and trained catalysts to drive educational change, passionate about community development and global citizenship. He strives to empower volunteers and teachers to create meaningful and lasting impact. Fellow catalysts, fellow staff, today Stephen is here to give us the science, the art, and if we are lucky, maybe the magic behind building happy and motivated teams. So let's give it up for Stephen Tettegah as he takes the stage to share with us some magic that will make us happy and motivated from now till maybe the end of the year in our roles. Stephen, if you're on the call, I would like to pass the mic to you to take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kobe, and hi to the EduSpots team and their mate. Yeah, it's always impressive to be following EduSpots work and learn about what the team has been up to. So I've been a keen follower of the work. I contributed to it at some point, but like a big dream, everyone contributes to it and go on to do even amazing things. I'm told I have 45 minutes. I'm not sure we would take all those time to start with, because I would more be some key reflections to keep in mind for our catalyst as we go out to build very happy and motivated teams. I should also mention that I've been really keen to join events like this, and amidst very packed schedules. And so I'm currently at an event and just come to the back or find a space to join this. So if in case other people pass behind you hear some noise in the background, I'm not alone here. So let's dive right into it, and I'm going to start I mean, I don't know if everyone on the call know, I mean, people know each other. I see maybe about 13 people apart from me, but I would want to hear some reflections when you think back to your own background. Think of a time that you felt a strong sense of belonging to a team. And there are times that you look back and feel like this is the best team I've ever been part of. Now, this could be in the past or it could be in the present, but I'd want you to just take 1 minute to reflect on your own experiences and think of a time that you felt a really strong sense of being part of a team. So I give 1 minute for everyone to reflect on that, and then after that 1 minute, I'll call on people to share individually. So I can call on anyone at all. So kindly take the time to reflect, and then we take it from there.
You're muted.
Oh my goodness. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Uh, what was the last thing you heard? I don't know at what point I went off.
After you ask that, you reflect.
Okay, very good. So I'm asking people to reflect on a time that they felt a very strong sense of belonging to a team. That is the key reflection. So discuss a time when you felt a strong sense of belonging to a team. This could be in a school, home, work, or volunteer setting. So I'll give 1 minute for people to reflect, and then we take it from there. Well, as we bring our reflections to a close, I invite people to type into the chat if you want. You don't have to type the whole thing. It could be the name of the school, the name of the volunteer group. It could be a church group. I mean, just give us that time, and then we can start up the conversation with that. Again, like I said, I'm a call on anyone, so you could take the the first step and put something in the group if you can remember. And to set the tone, when I think back to a time that I strongly felt that I was part of a team and a strong sense of belonging, it was about 7 years ago, in 2017. Was that seven? Yes, yeah, 7, 8 years ago, when I joined the Lead for Ghana Fellowship. And that is a feeling that I had right from being part of the fellowship, from the training to the delivery. And I felt like looking back or reflecting back to my full experience, there's never been a time in my life that I felt that strong sense of belonging and a strong sense of purpose as compared to that time. So in this case, my response would be when I was part of the Lead for Ghana Fellowship. Uh, Having said that turn, I would call on Abdul Wadud Suleiman. Uh, when was the time that you felt a strong sense of belonging to a team? Wadud, let's start from you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope we are all well. Yes, so a time where I felt a very strong sense of belonging was when I was volunteering with another organization called um, Islamic Ummah Relief, and we were asked to go to the northern region for a project. The situation there was so bad that we had to seek for help outside our team, and the fact that we were able to um, come together, collaborate, um, go through the hardships together, and at the end of the day, achieve the goal we went there for was a very beautiful thing for me. Hence, that was the time I felt a very strong sense of belonging to a team.
Thanks for sharing that experience from the Islamic Relief group that you were a part of, and you went ahead to share what made the experience stand out. And what you're pointing out is the value that you were able to create despite the challenges that you faced. So thanks for sharing that. Someone from EduSpots Spot has also mentioned that belonging to EduSpots Spot, if I heard you correctly. Now, when you think about experiences like this, and I know a lot of you have other things to reflect on, there is something in particular that brings that feeling of attachment or belonging to that group that made you feel. You possibly felt accepted, you felt heard, you felt that you were doing something that was meaningful, you overcame challenges. And I mean, the list goes on and on, but there's a reason why some experiences stand out to us as compared to other experiences. Right from our work setting, if someone have worked with 3 organizations and you ask them to pick one that they'll never go back to or one that they can't wait to go back to, it should be easy based on their experience. And so overall, when you think about these experiences, what we want to keep in mind is that we want to give our Catalyse and the people who use our sport a valuable experience such that the kind of reflections we're having today, when we think back to that, when our Catalyse asks a time that they felt a strong sense of belonging, they refer back to the time that they were part of these projects or they were part of a sport or they were involved in whatever they were involved in. And so when you reflect back to how that made you feel and what made the experience stand out, the next challenge is how can you make this present experience of volunteering stand out to your people when we get into the discussion. But like Wadi said, that experience will make you feel belong, will make you feel motivated, make you feel happy. Can people drop some adverbs it's adjectives, I guess. Adjectives in the chat that describe how you felt when you think of a time you felt a strong sense of attachment to a team. I mean, I've just provided 3 things that people could feel. And like I said, what we are looking at is how do we want Catalyst to feel when they reflect back on their experience with their sport. And it is the same feelings we want them to feel when we ourselves reflect back to a time that we felt a strong sense of attachment to a cause. So whenever you want, you can drop it in the chat. I'm keenly looking to that. But the thing to keep in mind is how we want them to feel that way. Now, when we go back to that, it comes back to the how. If we want people to be happy, we want people to be motivated, we want people to look back and feel like I want to do this over again, or look back and feel that, wow, that was amazing. It comes down to a key thing, which I'll frame as motivation. And that is because now beyond these experiences, when you think back to these experiences that he had, you don't think it made you happy because they paid you for the job that you did. And a lot of studies support the fact that when people talking about their job fulfillment and what makes them happy in their work, we all think that pay is super necessary, salary is very important. But when you run a survey and ask people what they like the most about their work, only a small percentage of people talk about salary, and it goes beyond what they pay. And some people would take lower paying jobs because they feel more fulfilled. And so even though this is volunteering, it is possible for us to create a culture that everyone would want to be part of. And that comes down to motivation. I'm saying here that motivation is important, and people can be either motivated or unmotivated. We can go on and on about factors that could make people motivated, some factors that could make people unmotivated. And we also know about lots of motivation theories and intrinsic motivation and all of that. But the key thing to keep in mind is when you're building your ship or when you're building your team, when you're building this force, the more motivated people you attract to your team, the easier it is for them to be committed, the easier it is for you to do amazing things. And so in volunteering or in getting big things done, it's important to look at people who are motivated, people who have a strong value system, because having 3 super committed volunteers in your sport would lead to more efficient outcomes as compared to having 15 or 12 or 20 people who are not committed. So you want to look out for people who are strongly motivated, and then we're discussing the how. How do we know who is motivated? How do we know who is not? How do we attract the right people? Because team building, because it's building, there's a process that if you do not get the team building right, that makes the work difficult. To conceptualize this discussion, think about building a strong team as a 3-pronged pot, or think about it as creating value in 3 ways. So now we're thinking about 3 things, all of which is about value. The first thing is, what value is it that you are going to create? When you're drawing people to something, the big question is, what are we trying to achieve? What is the goal? What is the value? Is this desirable? Is this something I want to be part of? It's not about, oh, there's a new library here. We are looking for volunteers. So can you please volunteer? It goes beyond that to think about the goal. So in building a team, always articulate strongly what value are you creating, or what value are you going to create together for the community or the people you are serving or for the school. That is very important. And so when you communicate your value and you communicate your goal, you are at a better chance of drawing people who strongly identify with that goal. That is because people would be drawn to being a catalyst or being a volunteer for several different things. For some people, the assumption is, okay, there is a white lady that has set up this organization. They built a library for us. Okay, if white lady is involved, maybe there's some money, maybe there's some trouble, okay, so let me do that. Now, if you do not start with the goal in mind, as Simon Sinek wrote a powerful book on this that says, start with why, very powerful. If you don't start with the end goal in mind, you may drop many different people. So when we're thinking about drawing committed and motivated volunteer, we want to answer the question, what value are you creating, or what value are you going to create together for the community? So it's going out there to say that, Akosia, we are doing this, and that. Do you want to be part of us in doing that? The second thing is their contribution. Now, because we think about the volunteer space as is free time and you're not paid and you volunteer, a lot of times we open up our doors to anyone to say that we are looking for volunteers. We want Catalyse, come and join us as far as you're a member of the community. But when you're being intentional about the people that you are selecting, it's important to be strongly targeted and think about what are the values and interests that people have and how can they bring that value to the table. So if someone is coming on board as a catalyst, and in subsequent slides, we'll talk about the individual journeys, people would drift off a team when they feel that they are not contributing to the team, when they feel that they are not being heard, and they feel that they don't matter. And in order to avoid that, you'd want to identify the individual skills, interests, and values that people come on board with. And so when you get a new catalyst, you know that this catalyst is great at organizing things. They are a very organized person. This catalyst we want to put in charge of organizing the books. This catalyst have a love for STEM. This catalyst have a love for climate education. This catalyst have a love for dancing. This catalyst love singing. You want to have that in your mind to think about what is it they are bringing to the table, and that is the people you want. If you cannot think about what it is this person is bringing to the table, they are possibly going to add to the numbers, which is what you don't want. The last thing about the values is what value the person that is coming on board gain while they contribute their value. And so while we think about volunteering as something you do for free, everyone volunteering should benefit from that volunteering. that is not to say they have to gain some material thing, but if there is no benefit for being a catalyst, people wouldn't want to be catalyst. And so while you articulate the value you are creating and you're looking for people who have personal value and interest and skills that they're contributing, you would also want to make it clear about what value they would gain from that. When you're touching on these three things about value, the first is the value you're creating, the second is the value the person is bringing to the table, and the third is the value that the person is gaining by being part of that mission. You answer a big question about how you get people motivated, because you're going to get people who are goal-oriented, you're going to get people who know that they are coming in to contribute something, and you're going to get people who know that in that contribution, they get something, which could be growth, which could be network, and we'll go on to discuss that. So these reflections are important for building a strong and committed team. And still on the thing about values, it's important to keep in mind that internalized values drive behavior. That is to say that I do what I do because of an inherent belief. And that belief is informed by my personal values. You think about why people want to be Catholic, why they volunteer, why they want to spend time on this. And you look at it in two ways. Number one, that in doing this, there is value for the person. And in doing this, there is value for other people. And in the volunteering space, a lot of us communicated to be like, I'm being selfless and I'm giving my time. But in that, there should be a value for yourself. And so this looks at the fact that there may be an influence value. By giving your time and contributing, you're increasing your value, the number of people who know you, who has regard for you, who appreciate what you are doing. And in one of the work that we're doing in the rural community, we get volunteers to teach. They teach for 9 months. And then this guy came back again to teach again for another 9 months after finishing for the first year. So I asked him, why did you come back to teach for another 9 months when you're teaching for free? The guy said that before I volunteered, nobody in my community valued me. Nobody in my community knew me. And since I started volunteering and teaching on this project, I'm very much respected. When there's discussion in the community, they want to hear my views. And everyone calls me teacher, even though I'm not a qualified teacher. And so my regard and my recognition and my respect in the community has accelerated greatly, and I'm recognized. That is an influence value. So value creation to increase one's influence or one's legacy. It could be an economic value creation for oneself by delivering what other people want, and harmony value that makes more sense as a whole. And this relates to what people feel a sense of vision that we are aligned to this big goal. And so together as EduSpots, this is our goal, and we are in harmony going for that. There are some people, it's a matter of enjoyment just for the fun of it. And someone feels that whenever I help children, I feel so happy in my heart. And for them, it is just that enjoyment value for the fun of it, because anytime they do this, they feel excited, they feel happy. And that is also related to the social value, making other people more happy or relieving their suffering. And so, I mean, while we're thinking about values, it's important to think about the fact that the same thing that people do not value the same things. And so for someone, it could be influence, for someone, it could be the social value as well. And a few years ago, when I attended my, I think, very first EduSpots conference, we invited Nana Ared Damwa, that I think at that point we were called Reading Spots at the first Reading Spot conference. I'm trying to see if there's anyone on the call who I remember was there. If Kat isn't here, I think no one was there. Nana Red Damwa made a statement that resonated strongly with me, and we've heard that Rome was not built in a day, but that Rome was built every day. And that is a strongly true statement that I identified with. But this makes us think about where we are as a team and what is there to accomplish or what is there to go. So a psychologist made some research to think about what groups go through and what are the phases of team development that I think may be useful when we go back into our group, regional groups to brainstorm. And he put the journey that groups go through into four different stages and later added the third one. Now, I don't necessarily want to touch on every single thing, but this is a framework to help you understand where you are with your Catalyse group. And there are 5 stages to this grouping. The first is the forming. We have the storming, the norming, the performing, and then the adjourning. I'll explain this very briefly. I'll share the slides as well. You can look into it quickly. But the thing to keep in mind is the Catalyse group are not all at the same place. So a Catalyse group, a team group at Kalpohin and one at Akumadan and one at Bledome, they may be at different stages of growth, for which reason they may need a tailored approach to team building. So you can't have a one-size-fits-all model for building volunteer teams in EduSpot because all the volunteer teams are at different stages of their growth. And the first stage here, according to this work, is the forming stage. This is where we've created the spot. We are now trying to form the volunteer team. And the characteristics of the forming stage is there's some anxiety, there's questioning, is it going to go well? Who should be involved? We are unclear about how this fits in. We want to stick to safe topics. We have a generally polite tone. Now, when you're at the forming stage, this work recommends that as a key volunteer, you take the lead because in forming, so when people come together, we need a strong sense of direction. And so you need people who would say, okay, let's do this, let's go this way, let's introduce it, let's do this. At the same time, we want to be highly visible. Highly visible means a lot of publicity. So the level of publicity that maybe above 4 spot need is not the same level of publicity that another need, because maybe above 4 spot has been in existence for 8 years and everyone knows them. But if you are a new spot in your first year, this is the time you make all the noise. You visit all the churches, the mosques, the schools, the offices, let people know that you exist. In which case, that may not necessarily be a good strategy or the perfect strategy for Kalpohin or another when people know that they exist, but possibly because of some perceptions, because of some conflict, people are falling apart. So you need to be highly visible, facilitating introductions, providing the big picture. This is where we want to go, establish clear expectations. From the forming stage, we move to the storming stage. Now, the storming stage is from the word storm. So we are formed now. We are going through some storms. There's high emotions. There's competition. Who leads? Who does this? I want to do this. I also want to do this. Who is the clear leader? So you go through that storm. There's some resistance. And a lot of this stage requires building trust by honoring commitment. When you say you will do this, you keep to it and do this. You normalizing matters. You identify issues and facilitate their resolution quickly, because at the storming stage, if you are not able to resolve conflict, unite differences, that is where you lose people. And there's also at a very critical stage of growth where people have come together, you need to find a way to make the best use of those people to move forward. Then norming is when you begin to feel that we know what we are doing, we know who is doing it, we are all behind that goal. Everyone understands the purposes and the goals. We have a relief, lowered anxiety, and we begin to develop some group cohesion. This sets the stage for the next part, which is performing. So again, when I said the slides, you can look at the individual thing. The last stage, which wasn't part of the original work, is when we think that people go down. So at the end of performing, the goals begin to go down. And we're saying that sometimes this can be accomplished by sadness, disbanding, recognition of team effort. And we see some of the characteristics of this group. We know that maybe 1 year ago, this volunteer team was super effective. It's not the same anymore. They are no longer the performing stage. They are the adjourning stage. Some of the strategies we're saying is that provide opportunity for individual acknowledgement, provide opportunities for summative team evaluations, lessons learned, recognizing change. And when you get to adjourning, it goes back to forming. So a typical example is when you have a sport that has run and all the catalysts there have now left the community. So they've gone through forming, storming, norming, performing. Now they are adjourning where things are dying down. So you come back to the forming stage to start all over again with some new people. So this is just like a quick framework to help us understand the different stages of team development. The key issue here is that you don't treat all volunteer teams the same because they may be at different stages of their development. And that also tells us about how we recognize effort, because when we know that this volunteer team is very strong, they have the numbers, they have the resources, and we keep praising them and we keep giving them accolades and we keep rewarding them, what we are doing unintentionally is that for teams that are struggling, they are looking up to those who are doing amazing and they feel left out and they feel like we can't compete. They feel like we don't belong here. In which case, we need to think about what teachers would call differentiation in terms of how we recognize the effort of different teams based on where they are. Now, this is the bigger group picture. When we look at the bigger group picture, it is where the full team is. But when we bring this to the individual level, every catalyst would be on their own individual journey. So there are people who may be volunteering for, say, 5 years, or someone who is in their third year of volunteering. And in this concept, you also think about the individual journey of these catalysts, starting from where they first hear about EduSpot, exploring the idea, discovering EduSpot, aligning with EduSpot values, and beginning to champion the cause of EduSpot. Now, this is also to say that you allow room for individual growth and don't expect what the champion would need to be doing from what the explorer needs to be doing. Because if people are not, we don't recognize the stage where our volunteer teams are and what support they need as individuals to make this journey for themselves, they may easily fall out. And so at the exploration stage, we want to ensure that we are letting the individual know the three things we talk about. What is the value? What goal are we creating? What can they do? And how do they benefit? Because when someone is exploring, it's like, let me see. That is when they attend or they come to the spot for the first time. They are answering the question, is there something in there for me? What are they doing? So you need to be strong about the value creation on those three fronts for someone who is exploring, to then be interested in moving from exploration to discovering, to say that, okay, I've heard about EduLate or DigILate and the different programs, and based on that hook, I want to discover, I want to understand more. So the person then say, okay, I want to join the EduLate or the DigILate group. That is at the discovery stage. While the person is discovering that, the person feels that, oh, I really love this. They move to the alignment stage, where you want to give them responsibilities. And the key lesson here, there's a lot of lessons, but one key lesson that I want to point to here is when someone is exploring and you begin to give them huge responsibility, lead a club, do this, you're overwhelming them. They feel, well, I'm just trying to know what's happening and you guys are asking me to do that. I don't even have the time. I have my own books, I have my own work. And as much as we think, oh, volunteers should give your free time, that should work for the individual. So if you are leading a team and you know that everyone is on their individual journey, you don't push work to the explorer. You encourage the one who is doing discovery. You involve the one alignment in alignment stage more, and the champion person gets more responsibilities because they become a champion. So it also tells you that, you don't give huge responsibility for people on their first day when they are forming the new team. You go through that journey with them. So it's for you to think about this and think about, where is my team right now? When I pick Kofi, when I pick Abdullah, when I pick Mohammed, is Mohammed at the champion stage? If they are at the discovery stage, how can I engage them? And like I said, at the explore stage, we want them to understand the value. At the discovery stage, we want to consult them to see what is indeed for them. They want to see that this is how I can contribute while they're discovering it. Then at alignment stage, we want to involve them more and more. And by championing stage, they are involved in leading the process, leading the club, leading the different things. So it's more, as you can see, the arrow ticking as we move up. So it's also correlate to the level of responsibility you give to people, rather than those at the champion stage doing less and expecting more from those at the exploring stage. The last thing here to reflect on before I invite for questions, and then we go into the breakout discussions, just broad ideas for building your team. There are so many different ones that I picked, very key ones that I think are super important. The first thing is involving the team in co-creation, tapping into what matters to the team. And this stems from the deep-seated psychological truth that people are more inspired to take action to meet goals that they feel they created. So rather than, this is what we want people to do this year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, hello, come and do this. We want to sit together as a Catalyse team and saying that this is our broad goals. How do we achieve those goals? Let's create our mini goals to achieve the broader goals of ensuring community-led education. So when you involve your team with goal creation, you can then say that, okay, this goal was created by us. How do we achieve that as compared to the feeling that, okay, you have created your goal and you want someone to achieve that goal when they don't share in that goal. Now, in certain cases, the goal has already been created. Now, when people come for the exploration stage to come and meet a goal that has already been created, there is an opportunity there for them to not look at the goal and say, okay, this is the goal, go and do it. But it's that this is the goal that we want to create. What do you think? What part of this aligns to you? Do you want to add something to it? And that's to say that someone wants to, for example, join to do something, but what they are interested in is not on our list. There is room for someone to start something gradually to feed into the bigger goal. Then we've already spoken about managing expectations. Strive for internal alignment, and people should be driven by values, not chasing or trying to prove something. And this draws from intrinsic motivation to say that we don't think people should be volunteers to encourage them to volunteer with the concept of if you volunteer very well, you may win Volunteer of the Year award. Because if at the end of the year they are not given Volunteer of the Year award, they may be disappointed. Then there's also creating opportunities for personal development. So I think it goes back to the third point about the personal. There is the personal in the volunteering. How do you reward people? The 4 and 5 could go together, but sometimes personal development opportunities is not necessarily a reward system. There may be differences sometimes. So there should be involvement in co-creation, managing expectations, internal alignment driven by values, creating opportunities for personal development, and also establishing a recognition and reward system. I'll pause here. I think I had 45 minutes. I aim to work within that time and invite room for questions, discussions, and different thoughts. And I'm told that from here, they'll be going into smaller groups to discuss further in line with the sports challenge for January. Thank you. So I wasn't paying attention to the chat box in case there are some questions. So let me look at that now. Okay, I see. Yeah, there are no questions in the chat box. So yeah, that's the end of the short presentation. Just like I said, quick reflections to situate the discussion and things to think about. And then if there are room for any questions, we can take them and then move to the breakout rooms.
Please, do we have any question for Senyo? This has been an exciting or happy presentation, and we can't let him go without asking questions. Please, let's ask questions. Anybody wants to ask questions? Any learnings from the presentation that you want to share with us? Okay, here we are.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Yeah, my question is, I want to ask that we want to build a strong team. We want to build a strong community that will help to explore the community, or the community should move in a wider range. So if I have a challenge in my sport, can I consult another sport? Like I'm a newly sport, then I have some challenges for building a happy and a motivated team. Can I consult another sport, like let's say, as for example, Akumadan, who has been in the system for long?
Thank you for that question, Stephen Tettegah. So I think you know the answer for the question, because EduSpots is super collaborative, so you can always ask. However, a key thing to note in addition to that is you don't need to struggle alone, and there has to be proactive steps to get support whenever there is a need. So it means, for example, that if you are the sports leader and you have a group of catalysts, you wouldn't say that if you have a problem, come and talk to me. You'd actually be proactive in reaching out to say, do you have any problem? What is your experience so far? How are you finding it? Do you have any challenges? And then based on that challenge, you can provide support. Another thing is, I was trying to keep to time, but for example, when someone comes to the group and we say, for example, they are at the level of exploration, when they move to exploration to discovery, you want to pair them up with someone at the championing stage. So maybe a very enthused, motivated, experienced volunteer with a new one for that mentorship and support. The same concept works with your sport, whether, there's a new sport under 3 months, you can pair them up with the sport leader or the group in another sport, possibly within the same region or the same geographical culture, to say that this is more your partner sport, and you are able to brainstorm through challenges together and find support for each other from time to time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure. I think everyone got the key points, and I think a huge part of this is the discussions and your own insight and how you contextualize some of these ideas in your own sport and make them work for you. And while I wait for any other question, a key recap is the fact that you want to ensure that you are creating values at 3 levels. People know the value you are creating, people know the value they are bringing, and people know the value they gain, which is an important part of building a very motivated team. And we also say that in the value system, we're looking at creating value for other people and creating value for yourself, and that goes hand in hand. We also mentioned that there are different stages or different phases of team development, and some groups may be at the performing stage, some may be at the forming stage, some may be at the norming stage, and that different groups require different levels of support and strategies because they have different characteristics. We mentioned that volunteers have an individual journey, so we want to look at where they are personally, and then we shared key ideas for building your team, including involving them in creating the goal, managing expectations, holding people accountable to small tasks, ensuring internal alignment, creating room for personal and professional development opportunities, and creating recognition and reward system to help the team to thrive. So I think I would leave it here now, and then staff team can put people in, go forward to the next segment of the workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senyo, for your time. We are very grateful. I am happy and motivated. I don't know about my other 17 or no, 16 participants. So if you are happy and then excited about this session, can we see some excitement in the chat box? Can we see some reaction to Senyo? Let's give some Senyo, some virtual class, virtual. Okay, again. Yeah, so we are going to
meeting you one for Achabuma. I'm one system.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so we are going to break you out. We are going to break you into. Okay. We're going to break you to groups to discuss your monthly challenge for January, which is on building a happy and motivated team. So I'm going to do that automatically. You'll find yourself. Yes, so thank you, Senyo. Thank you so much. You see some fire in the chat box. We appreciate your time. Okay. So you see the breakout room. I'll do that automatically. So we just we have 10 minutes more to discuss the monthly challenge among ourselves. So you'll be assigned automatically into the breakout rooms. So just click on the room that comes on your screen and then you join, please. Click on the room. There's a room that shows on your screen. Just click on it and join the breakout room. I hope it will work out okay. I think what I have to do is to move some stuff to the room where there are catalysts. Please click on the room that is showing on your screen to join the breakout room. Steven and Gabriel. Steven and Gabriel, can you hear me? Okay. Manaf and Samuel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, Samuel, can you hear me? You were supposed to discuss the monthly challenge, which is the building a happy and motivated team. Have you been able to start with your learners already? Sorry, I say your learners. This for Catalyse. So have you been able to start the challenge? Anything on the challenge so far?
Yeah, we started, I think, yeah, we started last week.